Living together before marriage. This is a topic that is very debatable. Everyone's going to have their opinion when it comes to living together before marriage. A lot of times people base it in their religious beliefs, or maybe they base it off of past experiences. Question is, living together before marriage, is it a good idea? Is it not a good idea? Now, when it comes to me and Asha, what do we feel about living together before marriage? And did we live together before marriage? Well, the truth is, watch the video to find out. Asha and I did live together before marriage, but there was a very, very specific reason of why we made that decision. And we'll go into more detail about that. Me and her were not in support of moving together before marriage. We didn't believe in it. We have a lot of reasons why we didn't believe in it. And again, we'll explain towards the end of the video some of the pros and some of the cons behind living together before marriage.
If you stumbled on this video because you're thinking about moving in with your significant other, you really want to watch this video before you do that. If you're thinking about it or you're being pressured to move in with your significant other, this is the right video and it's going to help you make the right decision.
The main reason that me and Asha were against moving together before marriage, we both grew up in a strong Christian household. And for all the Christians out there watching this, you already know, a lot of you guys probably heard growing up, it's a sin to live together before marriage, or you probably heard something around that, or it's not a good idea, it goes against the Bible, whatever it is you've heard, And so I think a lot of people, they grow up and they have almost sometimes this worry, this trepidation. Sometimes maybe it's a fear. You don't want to upset God. So you have all of these things going through your head and you don't want to move in with your, significant other. And trust me, we understand. We've been through it. Like I said, it wasn't our intention to move in together. When we're looking at it from a biblical perspective, the Bible doesn't explicitly talk about the act of moving in with your partner before marriage. There's a lot of things that the Bible doesn't explicitly say. The Bible gives you a lot of clarity on situations that you shouldn't put yourself in that could expose you to more sin. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to the marriage, the Bible goes into a lot of detail about marriage and what is expected of marriage. And one of the main things about marriage is that a marriage is seen as one flesh. And also the Bible talks about the importance of not involving yourself in or committing fornication before you're married. When you take that into context, if you are living with your significant other, you're more likely to expose yourself to those sins. So again, while the Bible doesn't explicitly talk about moving, if you look at what the Bible does talk about, makes sense from there, what you should and what you shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm. And the Bible will direct you to the right direction. Mm-hmm. So it's up to you. For example, I am a mother and we also have mothers, right? Or somebody who is a guardian to us and they tell us, hey, or I'll speak for myself. My mom would say, Asha, do not touch the stove. And I'm seeing that the stove has fire in it, right? When I touch the stove, I'm going to get burnt.
Yep.
It's so clear. She don't have to tell me the stove has fire. I can see. Yeah. It's red.
You see the smoke coming.
I can see the smoke. I can see the heat. I can feel the heat. The clothes I put in my hands, there's heat. Mm-hmm. There's consequences.
Yeah. And you can even sometimes look at other people. I'm sure maybe you saw somebody else get burned before. So you got to use your wisdom and you got to look at things that other people have went through and use your own discernment, and your spirit will tell you whether this thing is right or wrong.
Mm-hmm. And most of the things we go through in life, they are common sense. We just choose not to follow that.
True. Just to give you some context, we have both been living in LA for a few years, Los Angeles. That's where we met each other. And then we started dating.
We fell in love. I was just like, yeah, this is the man of my dreams, right?
Yeah. And she did tell me on the first date that we're gonna get married.
I told him on the first date, we're gonna get married. And here we are.
I don't know how she got me, guys. By the way, if this is your first time watching our channel, my name is Dre. This is my beautiful, gorgeous wife, Asha, who's currently pregnant. I'm not sure if you can see her belly. She is actually due very, very soon.
Very soon, y'all.
So you guys will get to meet our next little one. Just make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys join the family. Hit that notification bell so that you guys know every time we post. And as you're watching this, guys, if you can relate to this situation, let us know in the comments. Let us know if you've been through this or maybe you moved in with your partner before. How did it go? All right, let's get back to the video.
When I met him in LA, I used to live with my sister, okay? Me and my sister were there. I was my sister's assistant and stylist. My sister decided she wanted to move back to Texas, right?
You did everything together. You guys were used to doing everything together. And me, I was used to doing everything by myself.
Yes.
Yeah. Because the reason you even moved out there was
I moved out for her.
Right?
I wanted to be close to her. I wanted to learn from her because she's a genius when it comes to entrepreneurship, and that's what I am. I wanted to be close to her. And then all of a sudden, she decided she wants to go back to Texas, right? And now I'm alone in this big old city. Big city. LA is big and it's full of crime. It's chaotic. Okay, and I don't do that. I grew up in the suburbs. You're paying $3,000 just for that kind of crime. But I'm not even gonna go into that. These are one of the things that had it up for me wanting to live with Dre. You know, I needed a sense of protection. I needed someone to protect me. I needed to be safe. And I know, like, I'm not an independent woman. I'm not a strong woman. I'm very fragile. I'm very soft. I pretty much need protection from my man.
Well, that's what a man's role is to protect their woman. So,
and I just couldn't do it. I didn't want to be there. I'd rather be home with my dad, you know, getting that protection for my dad, for my family. So when I met Dre, it was great. It was great because he was there for me. After that, I decided, because me and my sister were living in a beautiful apartment. Oh my goodness, one of the best apartments in downtown, very expensive. A nice, luxurious apartment. My sister left. When she left me, I was left with a big bill. Okay, I could afford it, but it would leave me broke after I paid that. Okay,
you don't want to be broke.
You don't want to be broke in LA. And I had a lifestyle that I like. I am a soft girl. I don't want to find myself in a situation where I don't look feminine. I gotta look feminine. I gotta be happy. And thank God the Lord that I serve sent me Dre. He took care of me. He made sure I'm okay. And that's why I gravitated toward him. Because before that, I ended up moving out with a roommate with an S, okay? And then I was getting hit on from morning to night because sometimes they'll bring people, they'll have parties, they'll have house meetings. I was like, hold on, why are we having house meetings?
At the time when we had been dating maybe a couple months, so we were really tight.
I think we're like 8 months, no, like 5 months.
Yeah, like maybe like 5 months.
November, December, January, February, March. Yeah, I think it was like 5 months.
Maybe like 5 months in, but you know, I was busy at the time. I was working and everything, so we saw each other, but not a lot. And so I just remember her just going through it. Like, she was literally worried about her living situation. It was actually really hurt her, you know, that her sister was moving, because she just really didn't know what to do. But that was like her best friend at the time, you know, being a man and seeing her go through all of that. And like she said, being a woman by herself in LA, doesn't know anyone aside really from her sister. You're already like an introvert like me, so it's not like you're about to
I didn't have any friends. I didn't know anybody. I just don't want friends. I never wanted friends. I don't need the drama. And that's why I had a peaceful life, because when you don't have so many people in your life, you have a peaceful life. If you have friends, you can go stay with friends, but I like stable. I like to be stable. I like to have my own space.
Before I met her, I was very much living a bachelor type of lifestyle. When you came over to my place, you said like, this looks like a bachelor pad. It was very single, like for a single man. And I'm someone I'm very private. I like my own space. I didn't want to live with anybody, trust me. But again, I saw the situation that she was in, and of course I did have that space. And so when I initially offered, I remember she was like, no, I'll figure it out. Thank you. You know, I appreciate it. And so she went down that path, like she was explaining, of like trying to have roommates, but it was a mess. Like she said, it was a mess. I remember, you know, going to pick her up from there, sometimes, and it just wasn't a good, even though it was a nice place, like it was a very nice luxurious place, but expensive. It was still very chaotic.
Because people want to party, and I'm just not a party person.
Yeah, it just wasn't her scene. The final straw is, when she was in the process of moving her stuff, she had found another place that she was going to live at. And so she hired a moving company, I believe.
Yeah, I hired Clutter Storage. Long story short, Clutter Storage lost my stuff.
Yeah, most of the stuff disappeared.
The work stuff, the things that I needed for work.
For me, it was just like, I saw like that was your kind of final straw.
That was my final straw. That's when I moved in with Dre.
That's when I knew she needed some support.
She
was going through it. Ultimately, we did make the decision to move in together. And like she said, for those of you who haven't lived in a city like LA or New York, you may not understand, because financially, guys, it's super expensive too.
So expensive.
When she was having those roommates and stuff, 90% of the time throughout the week, she was coming over to my place anyway. And so it didn't make sense for her to keep paying for that. Economically, this makes sense. And then it makes sense from a support perspective. We were already becoming best friends through my words and my actions. At that point, I had committed to the idea of marriage, even though, you know, I hadn't, you know, of course, got the ring or anything like that. But Asha's the type, she's not really... Yeah, boy. But yeah, Asha, she's the type, she was very serious about marriage from the get-go. I
wanted to get married immediately.
Yeah, I knew that once I get in the relationship, even though I didn't necessarily tell her that she was going to be my wife.
Yeah.
Cause, she takes that stuff very serious. So do I. I just got out of like the dating pool. I had been dating a lot of women and stuff like that.
A lot.
Wanted to sort of just lay out a couple of the benefits and a couple of the risks, that come with living together before marriage. When it comes to the benefits of living together before marriage, there are some. I'm not going to sit here and say there weren't any benefits. One of the benefits, especially for us living in LA, is that we were able to save money on a lot of things, specifically on rent. That was a big one for us because like we said, LA is super expensive. And because we were able to save more money, it allowed us to have a better lifestyle. We were able to do other things like eat and travel and do things that a couple should be able to do. Versus if we had, you know, stayed in our own separate places, you know, like she said, we had very little money to spend, and yeah, it just wouldn't have been as fun of an experience. Number two, the second benefit that I would say is that I got to live with my best friend. I can't speak to everybody else's relationship, but for me and Asha, you know, a lot of people say, oh, you know, there were ups and downs, and for us, it's just been ups. And I'm not even trying to say that to like act like we were a perfect couple or anything. Like, no, I'm not trying to say that, but like I truly found my best friend, and I'm blessed for that, especially since we've been living with one another. It's been nothing but positive. It's been uplifting. It's just been so
all about
great.
God.
Yeah.
We put God, we always pray together. We were so self-aware of who we are. We still are.
Yeah.
I think what helped us.
Oh, that was one of the main benefits I would say that I got from her is like, I, of course, grew up with a strong Christian background, but one of the things that I was lacking in terms of my faith is that I didn't necessarily, I felt like I was I didn't know it back then, but I was definitely a lukewarm Christian in the sense that I didn't follow it with actions. Like I wasn't reading my Bible on a consistent basis. I wasn't praying on a consistent basis. But when I met her, she was all about praying. She was all about reading her Bible. She was all about fasting. And so these are things that she brought.
I used to fast a lot.
Yeah. So those are things that like, I was like, wow, when I met her, like, and so of course, when you live around somebody that does those things, those types of behaviors, they rub off on you. Because of her, my faith really, really strengthened, and I learned so much more. And now my relationship with God is just so deep and, you know, so great. And I'm so happy for that. That was definitely another benefit. But because of the way things are now in modern day society, and because the divorce rate and stuff is so high in society, yeah, a lot of people that I know, they got married quickly and they moved in and had that living experience for the first time, and then they realized they can't stand each other, and so they either got a divorce or they just having problems to this day. We got to test out what it was like living together, you know, being in each other's spaces and things like that. So that was a benefit, is that I got to know. It was not like I'm walking in blindly. You know what I'm saying? It's
you
like
knew what you're getting.
I knew what I was
into.
getting myself into. So that was a benefit for me.
Yeah. So pretty much what it's trying to tell you is that I'm pretty dope to live with. Another benefit is just going home to your best friend, having that companionship at home, somebody who is there with you every day when you're down, when you're up, somebody who's there to lift you up, somebody is there to talk to, somebody to hear you out, a shoulder to cry on. Every day at night when you go home, in the morning when you wake up next to your best bud. I mean, you just can't beat that.
The last benefit I can think of is that it just made our lifestyles easier. It came to like physical labor things where she needed somebody to lift something.
Oh my goodness, I don't take out trash. I love it. I don't want to touch the trash. I don't think any girl should ever take out the trash.
Yeah, and then my wife, you know, I like to drive, and so a lot of times, you know, I was able to drive her. A lot of places it's just a lot easier.
Oh yeah, I don't like driving either.
And then for me, you know, it helped. It was nice to have somebody that, you know, she liked to cook.
I love to cook.
And so she cooked for me a lot of times. So that saved me money because I used to eat out a lot, guys. Yeah.
I didn't cross his boundary, didn't cross my boundary. We were very respectful because we actually wanted to be with each other.
Yeah. Like she said, we had the actual intent of getting married.
Yeah.
Some people, when they move in together, they have the intent of fooling around, doing risque stuff.
Yeah.
And things. And that's when you can get...
We didn't move in for fun.
Nah.
We didn't move in for fun.
It was literally our circumstances.
It was circumstances.
Yeah.
And then pandemic hit.
Oh yeah, the pandemic, that made it even more of a reason.
Yeah.
So now we're going to move on to the risks of living with your significant other before marriage.
From my perspective, this is why I always stress to women, don't move with a man until you're married. Okay, I stress this to every girl. Reason why is because guys can up and leave anytime. And people can say, oh, girls can up and leave anytime. Let me tell you, don't ever in your life compete with a man. There's a lot of things that men can get away with that women can get away with in a sense of when it comes to a relationship. You know, getting pregnant, it's always mommy, always daddy, maybe. Okay? Because you're the one giving birth, so the baby's with you. So there's so many factors because everybody has their own community. This is to the people who believes in what I'm saying. This is not for everybody, but it's also for everybody, depending if you're open to listening. Okay? Dre could have left after we moved in together. He could have left. He chose to stay. Okay? He chose to stay. You must say, well, you could have left too. Well, I could have, but I didn't, right? But he could have left in the sense of men are different. They're wired different from women. And just for self-respect as a woman, and you don't want to be a woman who is being passed around. This is my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. But I'm not that girl. Okay? I'm not that girl. I'm the girl who, I want to have one man only. You understand? I'm not trying to taste the frogs and kiss the frog like they always say. I don't know what it is, what they call it. Kiss the frog. I don't want to do that, right? So, I'm more, reserved, if you want to say that. I'm very conservative. Is that something another way? Yeah. I have standards for myself. It's depending what values you are holding for yourself. And you can't compare yourself to other people. That's very important. So I could have been pregnant and he left. I could have been a baby mama. I don't want to be a baby mama. There's nothing cute about being a baby mama. It's not a flex. It's not a flex. That's something I don't want for myself or my children. I'd rather my children grow up in the same household, okay? I would never encourage that for anyone. It is not a flex. So I'm not a strong woman who is a baby mama. I'm not doing that. That's not my portion in the name of Jesus Christ. God forbid. That will never be my portion in my generation.
One thing that we talked about was like, yeah, she trusted me, and thank God that I am a trustworthy person. I'm somebody who stands on my word, but a lot of men don't. And so at the end of the day, you got to put your trust in God. Don't put your trust in men.
Don't follow your heart. Your heart is going to deceive you. Your heart will deceive you. Just because my heart tells me I should be a stripper and on OnlyFans, and I'm speaking this because this is who I am. Again, there's different type of things, okay? I'm just telling you. That's because my heart say, be a stripper. Doesn't mean I should go and start being in strip club. I don't want people saying, I saw your wife in the strip club dancing and dropping it up and bringing it back down. And you're getting a Proverbs 31 type of woman. So I am not for you. I am from the Proverbs 31 woman. So you understand? I'm not going to drop it up and drop it down. So that's why it's important for you to understand when I tell you, that's not me.
Either way, she could have left, I could have left, or like she said, she could have got pregnant, and then now you're in a position where you have this baby coming, you're not married.
Now you're stuck with this guy that you can't stand anymore.
Yeah, that's all bad.
You're stuck with this girl that you can't stand anymore.
And then we see that happen all the time, you know.
Yeah.
And another risk, the other risk that I would say is with the risk that you take when living together, especially for the women in particular. I will say women take more of the risk, is that the man, I've seen a lot of men get comfortable. And so when they start getting that wife type of treatment, which, like I said, my wife laid it out. She said, hey, there's only certain things I could do. But when you start getting that treatment, a lot of men will get comfortable. And so they lose that sense of urgency to get married. And so that's a big risk that you take. And so I see it all the time. Women wonder, they've been in a relationship for 7, 8, 9 years, and they're like, oh, why won't he marry me? is because you made the decision to live with him and you're giving him that wife treatment. My wife, she didn't force me to get married or anything. I definitely got married on my own time, but there was a sense of urgency. Like, I knew she was a high value woman. Like I said, we had talked about and made a commitment to each other to get married, even though we weren't married yet. And also, I just knew she wasn't the type of woman that's just going to wait around for years and years. So I had a sense of urgency to make that happen. But like I said earlier, you don't want to take that risk, or else you might end up 10 years living with somebody and then they could just up and leave one day, and then what?
And this is what you ladies who are allowing this should understand. So it's easier to have each child, but it's tougher to marry you. Think about that. So having a baby is less of a commitment than marriage. So think of that, okay, before you move in with this guy.
So just to wrap up this video, guys, because I think it's pretty clear where we stand on this issue. The brutal truth is, from our perspective as Christians, and according to the word, like we said, the word doesn't explicitly talk about moving, but it gives you pretty clear
that you shouldn't.
Pretty clear guidelines on what a marriage looks like. The truth is, if you do make that decision to move in with your partner, first, no judgment on our part, because again, we made that decision. We don't recommend it. We don't advise it, but we made that decision because of our circumstances. But when you do make that decision to do it, you are exposing yourself to more sin. Mm-hmm. Not saying that,
that is it.
Yeah, no. So you are exposing yourself to more sin. So that means, you're putting yourself in a position to fornicate, to sin more. And so the first step is just being aware of that. That's why we wanted to make this video, to let you guys know, like, you are exposing yourself to more sin. So once you're aware of it, just take it upon yourself to do something about it, to change that, to get married, as quickly as you guys can.
Go to do a court marriage. I'm not saying rush, but I'm telling you, if you are trying to move in, you're rushing either way. So choose, do you want to get married or not? Yeah. Because either way you're rushing, unless it's like so rough. I'm not saying, I'm gonna tell you, stress all your options. Yeah. Stress all your options.
It's kind of like you saying you don't want to drink alcohol or something, as an example, but then you still go to the club and expose yourself and put yourself in that environment. You're more likely to drink alcohol versus just don't do it don't put yourself in that environment. I've heard people where they move in together, they don't fornicate, they don't do all of these things, but that's rare, if I'm being honest with you guys. So don't put yourself in that position of sin. And again, we're looking at everything from a Christian perspective, because it is because of our Christian values.
And from experience.
Yeah, but it's because of our Christian values why our marriage is so strong.
It's been God.
Yeah, because we kept God at the center of our relationship. That's why our relationship has been so strong, and a lot of people look at us and they look up to our relationship. Hopefully you guys get some clarity after watching this video.
If you are so in love that you cannot stay separate, go get married. Yeah. Me and Dre, we fought to get married as fast as we can. Yeah. Because we didn't want to leave each other. We didn't want to move in together in the first place. It was our circumstances. Like, it was so much a challenge that we had no options at that time. Yeah. It was rather that, or I moved back to Texas, and I was working at that time. I had so much going on for myself. Don't move in together. That's my advice before you are married.
Cause I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. I mean, imagine you are in a living situation. You've been living with your partner for a couple years, whatever it is. And then again, this is just the way we talk and the way we think. Imagine Judgment Day comes tomorrow. You're looking in front of the Lord, our Savior, Jesus Christ. And then, hey, what's up with that? What's up with that situation? Like, and you're like, oh, well, you have all these reasons and excuses, but it's like, well, that's not your wife. That's not your husband. So what are you guys doing? You guys were living in sin. So we just didn't want to be in that position where we had to explain ourselves,
We put ourselves in that situation. We asked God to help us get out of that situation, and God did. Make sure you subscribe, share, comment, and tell us your thoughts. Please, every opinion is welcomed. Keep it respectful, and thank you so much.
Until next time. Yep, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you. Like she said, make sure you hit that sub button, and
always come back. Go be a blessing to somebody.
See you later, guys.